some stats here. The investment bank UBS has predicted that by 2025, so in 2 short years, 20% of all global sales of cars will be electric. 20%. So 1 out of 5 cars sold in the world will be electric vehicles. 5 short years later, in 2030, 40%. That number is going to double in 5 years. 40% of vehicles sold will be electric, global sales. And then 10 short years later, almost all vehicle sales will be electric. So this is the investment bank UBS, and this is what they have predicted. And so, they're putting their investments in there, going off of what they predict. So they're betting on it, and I'd have to think they're pretty smart about it. So I think I'm going to be shuffling what little money I can scrounge up and putting it in, some of it obviously not directly as my only investment. You need to have a diversified portfolio, but I'm going to take some extra $100, $200 here and there and buy some stocks in electric vehicles, and maybe even companies that supply electric vehicles, like who supplies this for the battery and maybe supplies, this stuff for the interior, things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the future could be both. The future could be both hydrogen and electric. I mean, who knows? I mean, what's going to happen to all the gas stations out there when most people are driving electric cars? Are they just going to turn into charging stations? I mean, that seems really expensive, a big overhaul, to tear all those gas stations down and put electric vehicle charging stations in their place. So I got to think that it could be a mixture of hydrogen and electric. And there might be like a little kind of beta VHS, or for you newer kids out there, HD DVD versus Blu-ray. So there might be a little format war going on, but and maybe one will come out on top, or maybe we'll just live with both. Who knows? But just looking at Electrify America, the charging network has gotten better. I remember when I had the Nissan Leaf, I think in Cincinnati, there wasn't that many charging stations, level 2 charging stations. They were just pretty few and far between. I remember the one closest to my house wasn't far, it was like 10 miles, but it was at Duke office. So Duke Energy, they supply, electricity. It was at their office, and it was free. And back then, most of them were free. So they had some at the mall. So probably in my radius of living, maybe 10 chargers at the time, maybe a little less. So it wasn't really that great. And then I'm looking, now 12 years later, or 10, 11 years later, and they're just a lot more of them, especially level 2 chargers. There's a lot of level 2 chargers, and then the level 3 chargers came out, the DC fast chargers. And I'm looking at my route to Cincinnati, and they're all along I-75. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And I watched some videos on forecasting from Electrify America, and they're planning on continuing their expansion and installing more 350 kilowatt chargers and more charging stations and things like that. It seems like there's a lot of them at Walmart along I-75, for example. So I think they pretty much cut a deal with Walmart. I don't know exactly, the ramifications or the details of the deal, or if they even have a deal, but I looked at my route, that my car plan, Google Maps, and it's like, probably I got to make 6 stops, and I'd say 4 or 5 out of the 6 are all at Walmart, Electrify America stations. So I signed up for their $4 a month plan, which brings the charging down from 48 cents per kilowatt hour down to 36. So it saves you 12 cents per kilowatt hour. And you figure if you charge your car, what is that, 7, 8, you figure, what is that, 8 kilowatts is about $1. So you figure you do that, what, 9 times would be 78. So yeah, like one full charge would save you like, $9 or something minus the 4, so you'd be up $5, something like that. I'm just doing quick math in my head, but it's probably not accurate. But as time goes on, the charging network will get better. Tesla is opening their chargers up to non-EVs. I think right now they have 11 in the US right now that have the special adapter in them. So like you roll up and you use a Tesla app and you say, I want to charge my non-EV. And then I don't know if they have a QR code or you got to input what station you're at. And then it'll unlock the extra adapter. So when a Tesla owner comes up, they just, pull out and the normal Tesla cable comes out and they plug in. Well, in these special stations that haven't been upgraded, they're attached to an adapter, the CCS adapter for the DC fast charging. And so when someone that doesn't have a Tesla rolls up and they do it in their app, it unlocks that adapter so that it stays attached, and you can pull the whole thing out and then plug your car in at the Tesla supercharger. So that, I think most of them are in New York right now. So there's only like 11, and I think like 9 or 10 of them are in New York. So that is not helping anyone yet. And I think the rollout's going to be slow for Tesla. I don't think they're going to do it in a year or two. I think it's going to take a little bit, to be honest with you. So for the most part, most of us are stuck with ChargePoint and Electrify America. There was another charger that I used. It was called EVgo. That one worked well. I'm trying to think of any other chargers that are out there. I know there's a bunch of companies out there that make charging stations. But the main two are ChargePoint and Electrify America. I haven't been to any ChargePoint level 3 chargers yet. But I've been to a bunch of ChargePoint level 2 chargers. Almost every level 2 charger that I use in Tampa is a ChargePoint. So, and all the level 3s that I've used have been Electrify America. But, the size of the network's going to increase. As more people are buying electric cars, they're going to have to put more stations in because these stations are going to get crowded. And people are going to get mad when they have to sit there and wait 20-30 minutes just to plug their car in for 20-30 minutes. But eventually, I think, as the reliability increases of these stations too, I think that more people will feel comfortable making the switch. And the next step, you have size, reliability. So those two, right, for the charging networks. I think the final step is speed. The speed at which these cars charge, and that's both the car manufacturer and the station manufacturer, right? So they have these 350 kilowatt DC fast charging stations, and I don't know if there's any cars that can actually charge the full 350 kilowatt. Like the Ioniq 5 has a super fast architecture, I think an 800 volt architecture, and it can charge, I think, up to 250 kilowatts. I don't think they have anything posted online, but just from some videos I've watched online, because I was considering the Ioniq 5 as well. But because I think it looks really cool. It's a really cool futuristic looking car. The interior is really nice. And yeah, it's a Hyundai, which there's nothing wrong with Hyundai, but it's not like considered a luxury car. But they cost, if you get like the ultimate Hyundai Ioniq 5, you're looking at around $62,000, so they're not cheap. So I think they should have made it a Genesis brand, but Hyundai came out with the Ioniq 5, and I think it's a really cool looking car. The interior is really nice, fit and finish is nice. Their routing software is not the greatest. It's not as good as the Polestars or Teslas, so they don't have an Android-based operating system or Google Maps, I don't think. I think they might have Apple CarPlay, but I don't think Apple CarPlay, Google Map, that's native to the Apple CarPlay, plans your charging stations for you. So eventually these cars are going to get more range. They're going to get faster. And I think once these cars, will eventually surpass the range of ICE vehicles, and the speed at which it takes to refuel. So I think once, say you get a car with 500 mile range and